Weather for Weather Geeks time. It is Thursday. It is the 23rd day of March. Thanks for tuning in. As always, everyone, I hope you like these videos. Been doing these for 4 years now. 4 years of Weather for Weather Geeks. I didn't think I'd have much of an audience at first, but there's a lot of people who are really into the weather and who have told me they appreciate all the extra details we can get into on these types of videos as opposed to 2.5 or 3 minutes on TV. I try to give you really interesting kind of information on TV, the kind of stuff you don't usually see on TV, but I still am limited by time, and so this is kind of my outlet to get that information out. Spread the word about this video. If you know someone who's into the weather, if you know a youngster, a student who is into the weather, tell them to take a look at this video. Sometimes we get into semi-complicated stuff, but I try to explain it the best I can. I don't always succeed, but I try anyway to kind of bring it to a level that most people can kind of understand. But hey, science is complicated, and sometimes stuff is just kind of hard to explain. One thing that's easy to explain, it was cold this morning. Temperatures this morning bottomed out at 14 at the airport. Du Bois at 11, and over in Bradford, not on the map, but in one of the traditional real cold spots in Pennsylvania, north of Du Bois, Bradford, near the New York border, it was 7 degrees first thing this morning. Getting kind of late in the year for these kinds of skinny numbers. Not unheard of course. Our record low this morning was safe. It was 10. That was out of reach. But what a rebound today. That strong March sun helped propel us up into the middle and upper 40s today. 47, the official high today, just 2 shy of the average. The record 82, set back in 1938. And we've been comparing and contrasting February and March. And, of course, February was more like March. March has been more like February. We only had 6 inches of snow in February. We've had 20 at the airport so far this month. We should not have any more this month. That should be the final tally. 38.6 was the average temperature in February. That counts highs and lows. This month, about 7 degrees cooler. Now, these numbers, of course, are going to change with the warming trend that we expect for the final week of March, but it'll still probably be cooler in March than in February this year. We're coming up on the average date of the last kind of measurable snowfall. I shouldn't say measurable, 1 inch or more snowfall anyway. As you can see, this usually occurs sometime in late March, early April. Some exceptions. Last year we had 1 inch or more with a heavy wet snow event during the second week of April. But March 26th is the average date when you look back at the last 30 years that we pick up our last 1 inch or more snowfall here in Youngstown. Now, we can see snowflakes sometimes into the first week of May, but it usually has a real hard time sticking as you head deeper into the spring season. And you'll notice how much our average annual snowfall drops off in April. We pick up 17.5% average. We average about 17.5% of our annual snowfall in March, but only 4% in April. April only is ahead of October in the snow category when you look at our annual totals here in Youngstown. All right, this evening when I recorded this, another beautiful, beautiful sunset this evening. If you have any great pictures, weatherpics at WFMJ.com is the place to send them. We have more cirrus clouds than we did last night at sunset, but these cirrus clouds, of course, make for vibrant colors and beautiful conditions. Sunset this evening at about 7:35, 7:40, and 46 degrees was the temperature just before sunset in Boardman. I'll be sure and post a time-lapse of that this evening. We have a warm front heading our way. Today was warmer, but behind this warm front, it's really going to be warmer tomorrow. It's a big, big change. You'll notice that, there's just not much with this. Now, there's actually been some thunder with this action in parts of Iowa and Wisconsin this evening, but not expecting that to make it here. I do expect some showers to work their way in, and I'll show you our high-res futurecast in just a second, but most of us won't even notice it. In the meantime, severe weather is a threat out across the high plains with the cold front coming east. A pretty mean-looking band of thunderstorms from the panhandle of Texas up into the panhandle of Oklahoma and into western Kansas as well. And there's a lot of warm air trying to come east. Pretty easy to pick out our warm front this evening. It's kind of like right here. Behind it, 70s and 80s, and definitely May-like weather across the plain states. Now, I mentioned most of us won't even notice the rain. This is going to come at 4 or 5 in the morning on average. It's going to be some showers. I can't 100% rule out thunder, but it's a real small chance. The air is very dry. I showed you the current conditions in Boardman with the sunset. The dew point, you may have noticed, was in like the lower teens. The air is dry, so I think this is even a little overdone looking on our futurecast. And again, this comes and goes, and by the time most people are up closer to daybreak, kids are heading off to school, the rain should be pretty much gone. So I don't think most of us will really notice. And boy, temperatures are a big story tomorrow. I think temperatures by the afternoon, There we go. There they'll show up. Well into the 60s. Let me back this up, actually. At our highest point, 67, 68, maybe even 69 degrees. Should be pretty common tomorrow. So a good 20 degrees warmer than today. And it's going to stay very warm into tomorrow night. We'll probably only drop into the mid-50s Friday night into Saturday morning. So it turns out to be a pretty nice day tomorrow. I think Saturday is largely dry. I've got a 30% chance of an afternoon shower. I might even have to drop that. It just doesn't look like there's any trigger to squeeze out showers until Saturday night and into Sunday. As this weakening front, sorry excuse for a front, comes east, it can produce some showers, and there's an outside chance of a thunderstorm for Sunday afternoon. All right, Severe Weather Awareness Week continues, of course, for the rest of the week. That includes just one more day tomorrow. We've been giving you some information, some reminders, some tips, some safety information, that sort of thing all week, and we continue to do that. This evening on social media and on the news, I talked about flooding on 21 News at 6 this evening, how flooding's kind of an underrated severe weather mode. More people are killed by flooding than tornadoes. It averages out that way across the U.S. Some years, if there's a huge tornado outbreak, the numbers get skewed. But on average, flooding actually impacts more people negatively than some of the, sexier, if you will, weather phenomena, hurricanes and tornadoes and that sort of thing. All right, real quick, a few words on the longer range here, hot off the presses. This is the latest European modeling for the next several weeks, and it paints a pretty warm picture. These are the temperature anomalies days 11 through 18, so taking us through the first week or so of April, and beyond that still looks pretty warm. You may have heard me talking about on last night's video, and maybe even the night before, the modeling was trying to show a cool down around the 5th, 6th, 7th of April. Modeling today kind of backed off from that idea, and if that were not to occur, we might just be pretty mild consistently into the middle of April at least. European modeling actually has a very warm look for much of the next 5 or 6 weeks. This is the next 32 days averaged out. You can see a lot of orange on the map here indicating that we could be in for a mild stretch. And when we look at precipitation, the European modeling is showing a wet pattern from the Gulf Coast region up into the mid-Mississippi Valley, and the signal gets lower as you head east. So not as confident of a signal as you head into eastern Ohio, western PA. In other words, it's much more likely that it'll be wetter than average to our west than around here. Over the next 30 days anyway, and that's according to the usually somewhat fairly reliable European long-range modeling. Just like any modeling, it's going to have its good days and its bad. We'll see if it had a good day today or a bad one. That's it for tonight's weather for Weather Geeks. I will see you tonight on 21 News at 11. Have a great Thursday night.